This is the Team Objection Podcast for December 26, 2023, episode 604. It's funny because Cody's not in the intro.
Oh, we should probably put him in the intro.
Yeah, we should probably do that.
Cody. We should make Cody, if he wants to be part of the intro, he should edit together the new splice. Better get on that.
I don't want to have to do that.
Cody.
I don't want to have to do that. Were you giving me fucking homework? I don't want homework.
Well, it's not homework if you really love it. Cody, if you love your job, you never work a day in your life. Haven't you heard that?
What's your commitment?
I've worked every day of my life.
Oh.
So you never loved anything.
No, I don't.
That explains a lot, actually.
Ah, that makes sense.
So this is not live. We just premiered the episode at the same time as usual because it's the day after Christmas, and normally we would be off that week. But instead, we're going to take the week of New Year's off, and we're finishing up our massive Nintendo tier list. All basically the first-party games and stuff they published. For the most part, it's not a perfect list. We saw that especially in the Mario part. But nonetheless, we're going to circle back here and get to some stuff we didn't yet, like Donkey Kong and Kirby, and I guess the Wario games, although I've played 1.5 of those.
Mm-hmm.
And they just keep getting worse.
May I start with Diddy Kong Racing?
You're going to go for a heavy hitter? I mean,
depends what you're going to fucking say about it.
We wanted to go big. I thought we might start with, like, Metroid, but some of you guys haven't played those.
No,
so
I want
Diddy Kong Racing.
I want to go really fucking big. I want to go really fucking big.
All right, well, what's your take? Please, Cody. If
there
we're
are
off on this
ways
one, I just can't. I don't know if I can handle it anymore.
No, there are ways in which I feel that Diddy Kong Racing is better than any of the Mario Karts.
I agree. Okay, we're on the same.
There are ways in which that is true.
I think Diddy Kong Racing is the best kart game I've ever played. How about that take?
Nope.
You've said it, actually, I think 4 times in the show now. 4 separate occasions.
Well, Dave is counting, so it's left an impression on him.
I feel like that opinion from Sean was correct a couple years ago. Maybe. Given that I like Mario Kart 8 quite a bit, but we've already talked about that. I have like no idea who the characters are in Diddy Kong, other than like 1 or 2 of them, and I don't care at all that I don't know who they are. Introducing the hovercraft is like one of the fucking coolest things that actually I felt worked pretty well in a game where I don't think you should have actually been able to understand how a hovercraft should move. Being able to switch between all those different karts, which Mario Kart got to a little bit later with some of the things, makes that game so replayable and so fun. It's I can't believe it to this day that I still enjoy playing that game so much.
What made it that good? That's what I'm curious. What made it that good?
I'll tell you, Dave. Thanks for asking. Don't worry. I was gonna get there. I wasn't just gonna say it was good and leave it hanging. So. I mean, the gameplay itself is great. Like, obviously, you would need that, right? Like, the kart racing, it's just like Mario Kart. It's responsive. It's fun. Like Cody said, the hovercraft actually was maybe the part I liked the least. Although being on the water was kind of fun. The plane,
it works really well there.
I really like the airplane. Funny story, Dave. You can blame Diddy Kong Racing on why my brain is broken and I do inverted controls for everything now. It was from playing Diddy Kong Racing at Walmart.
The proper way of doing it, by the way.
Oh, good. Okay, so we agree.
Wow.
But yeah, that was Diddy Kong Racing. And it just made sense. When you pull back on the lever, the axis goes through the floor and lifts the... Yeah, it just made sense. So, really, though, the fact
Sean's going to get to the single-player mode right now, I'm assuming.
I'm just single-player. The fact that they did a story mode for a kart game, and there was like a progression, there was a point, there was like a thing that you were doing. Not just... I mean, I'm so sick to death of Mario Kart. Like, okay, I win a trophy. Why? Well, because it was there to win, and that's it. And you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm done now. Then it was like Banjo-Kazooie. It was like Mario, where you're collecting to unlock worlds. You have a hub world. It was all of that, but on a cart. It was ingenious. It was brilliant. And no one knows any of the characters except Conker, who Cody hilariously was very like pure innocent little boy in this. Diddy Kong Racing went on to be in the raunchiest Nintendo game probably ever made. So, fun fact.
Banjo's in this game too, isn't he? I thought Banjo was also in this game.
Maybe. I don't remember.
I swear to God, Banjo is also one of the other drivers.
Yeah, I could be right. You could be correct. I'm not disputing you. This is God. I mean,
it's a shame they never revisited this in any way, basically.
That's the most puzzling part to me.
Yes. Yeah. And they've had weird fucking games. They had a Banjo-Kazooie game. Everybody got excited and like, yeah, but it's a racing like
It's
nuts and
racing.
bolts. And well, why'd you do that? You ruined one game to make it into a racing game when you had kind of the way to do that and you just didn't. Maybe there's a Donkey Kong IP-ish. I don't know
Like,
what
there's
it is.
the
but-
Rare subplot here, no
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
And Nintendo basically losing their connection with Rare obviously hindered an ability to have a sequel to this in some way. But those fences have kind of been mended. You know, some of the games have shown up on the virtual console or whatever version of it. Banjo and Kazooie were in Smash. Like, there's been some bridging of that gap to where you'd think they could do it if there was enough interest.
God, there's a time, we're going to get to this as we go through this list. There was a time when Rare was, I thought, the best company in the world. Like, just their games were the best games. And obviously it's not the case anymore. To me, Diddy Kong Racing is a low S, but like I can't not put it as an S because it, to me, is the best that kart racing has ever offered. So
Yeah, I have to have it in S2 for how many hours I've played this game and the replayability of this years and years later.
and just like the concept was so good.
Yeah.
And no one's to
Again,
my
for a bunch
knowledge,
of
has
side
ever-
characters.
Yeah, they never done a concept like this.
Like you
Dude,
took a bunch of
and-
IP you didn't know what to do with, and you stuck it in this kart game, and you created a good kart game somehow.
Speaking of that IP, I just looked up. Do you know what the antagonist's name was in that game?
No idea. I don't remember. It was a genie, I thought.
Sort of. I looked up. The primary antagonist is called Whiz Pig. It's a wizard
Waste
pig.
pig.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Whizpig. Yeah, that's right.
The characters in this are Tip Tup the turtle and Timber the tiger and Bubbler the octopus. Like, whoa, there are some
Yes,
obscure characters in this game.
it's
Well,
nonsense. It's
Especially
all
for
nonsense.
back then, because the
Yes.
Kongverse or whatever has expanded since then in some of the other games where there's other side Kong characters that didn't exist back then. But you can see how much they were stretching because Mario Kart has Donkey Kong in it, along with a bunch of other characters. And this game's like, okay, we've got like 6, so it's time to start making some up.
Yeah. Yep.
I have it in A. Dave, did you ever play enough of it?
I never touched it. I honestly, before Sean mentioned it, like on episode 175 as the best kart racer ever, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So
Your kids would
no.
like it. I promise
Probably.
you, really, your kids would really like it.
But
I
then,
mean, yeah,
but if
do.
their
They
favorite
like
is
Sonic
Conquer,
Team.
I wouldn't say then that they should then go play Conquer 64.
Probably
Conquer's
not.
Bad
Probably not. And you know,
for
it's actually probably pretty hard to get a hold of Conquer 64 nowadays. So
that's true too.
Emulator. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
why I played
that's
it.
going to end up in S, but it's probably going to get pushed down by every
Oh,
other S.
certainly, yeah.
We'll see. Since we have started with Donkey Kong, let's go through some others, including the original, which, look, is this any fun to play in 2023?
No.
No. It's pretty
Maybe
much
for a few
just a
minutes.
sluggish... It's fine. It's playable. It's not like it's horrible. But you can argue that this doesn't get enough credit because, like, that was the arcade game for a good 5 to 6 years.
It made a really good movie in King of Kong.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, as far as like the documentary part of it. But yeah, when you go and look back at what caused people to understand what video games could be, like if you look in arcades and stuff, Donkey Kong and Pac-Man, or Ms. Pac-Man, really, when you look at it, is like, those are the ones that kind of made people be like, wow, I need to come back and play this because I need to beat the high score. I need to beat the next level. I need to progress. And that kind of set that up for where you had this goal in mind almost with video games. And so the original Donkey Kong really kind of set the groundwork for that, I think.
It was important, certainly. It's just a slog to play now. So, like, where do you put that?
I don't want to just put it in B out of deference.
Yeah, that's
for
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
its importance, but the fact that it's just not a very good game. Because, I mean, as Dave said, like Pac-Man, Galaga, Asteroids, and there's a very short list of influential arcade games, and now we forget in this era, but arcades were the thing for a good decade or so there. So, like, you know, pre-NES, that's super important. So I think we got to give it respect and put it in B. And it can't really be any higher than that, I don't think.
You also, like, can't hardly beat it, right? Like,
I
there's
think
no...
it just goes on and on.
Essentially, just
Yeah.
like, you know, Tetris technically has a kill screen at a certain point. Like, there are certain games where it's like, it's not really meant to be beaten because eventually you're supposed to forfeit that quarter, but...
I hate that.
Yeah,
But
well,
anyways.
you hate a lot of things, so I don't care to rank Donkey Kong Jr. or some of the other ones on the list. I
Nah.
will say
No.
the Donkey Kong Game Boy game was solid. I don't think I want to rank it, but as far as a portable version of a big time arcade hit, it was fine. You know, for what the limitations were of the hardware. But I do think we have to spend a little time on the 3 Donkey Kong countries.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I
Yes,
love
yes,
the
please.
original Donkey Kong.
The original
country.
is
I
so good.
loved. I absolutely loved it.
I love it because the hot take can be, I thought it was the worst of the 3. Now,
It's possible.
it's still good, but there are certain mechanics, specifically the special coins, that unlock in 2 and 3, and then you get those, and you unlock the secret world that provided such a depth to the levels. Chris, I think will a little bit relate with me, because this is the problem you had with that Mario game where all it was coins. That's how I felt about Donkey Kong Country. All it is bananas, and there's like nothing that like matters other than getting more lives.
You have the Kong letters, but they don't really do anything in the first game.
I think it's just more lives, right? When you collect all of them, you just get lives. So, them putting in that secrets later on and the animal companions and all, you had a little bit in the first one too, but just so much better. But the original was, I mean, huge. You could argue this is the best looking game for like a while, right? With the graphics they did.
I remember this game coming out on the Super Nintendo and thinking like, oh my God, we have hit the perfection of graphics.
Yeah, I was like,
it's 3D.
How is this possible? How are they doing this?
Absolutely. At that time, when I'm used to seeing sprites, when I'm used to seeing, Super Mario World, which looked fine, but then I see this and I'm like, there's like shading on them. I can tell that there's like depth here.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on?
Yep.
I have a hard time ranking these. I think 2 is my favorite.
2 is also my favorite.
And might
Dixie
also
Kong
be
coming
the
in.
best. But 1 is really important just for setting the table. Because without 1's success, and it was a big hit, 2 and 3 don't happen. Obviously, that's the way any sequels work. You get the point, but like, I could see 1 and 2 being borderline S, and it's not like 3 is a bad game by any means, but at that point I was kind of like, okay, now we've gotten away from both Donkey and Diddy, and like Dixie's fine, but now we're getting to this other character I don't care about as much, and the level design is like still fun, but it lost some of the wow factor that the first game had, and the second perfected the first for me.
I feel better about the third one. It was actually the first one that I played, so it's just funny how all that works.
And I never played it.
But I still love the second one, so I would think if we're all in agreement on the second one being the best, I'm fine with that. The second one having like the spider, which was really great. You just like kind of go over the level.
Is that the one? The second one had the animal companions?
I think all of them do.
All of them did. The first one has the rhino
Okay.
and the ostrich and
the
stuff like that.
dolphin, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm trying to separate them in my mind because I know I'm conflating them a little bit together.
And can I say on the first one, the ending of you beat the boss, but then you didn't really, and then it like comes alive in the mid credits. Was just the game had a lot of like wit and interesting things that it was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that's a large part of why people have like there's a really cultish following behind King K. Rool.
Yeah.
That's why there was that big push to get him into Smash. And I was like, I thought that was fun in the first game, but I was never like, wow. But that's the moment that stuck out to people.
Yep. And the theme song was fucking great
too.
Was this the one too where they had a lot of like all of the different stores and stuff had like some sort of rapper basically like it seemed like everybody was like a rapper or like very steeped in 90s culture when you were going to like the different level places or anything like that. So I think Donkey Kong, the first one, really hung their hat on that, it seemed.
Yeah, it captures the era in which it came out pretty well because of it.
Are you just gonna spend the whole time asking, is this the game with X?
Yes.
For the whole...
Yes. Yeah, because I haven't played it in 20 years. So
so I think the first one is a little bit less good, but I have the same debate of you do that, like, well, but the importance and all of that.
Where do you have them, Cody?
I pretty much agree with what you guys said. I mean, there's like the nostalgia of 1, but I know it's not actually that good, and I know that 2 is the best one of the 3, at least in my opinion, from when I played them. So I pretty much just nodded along with you.
2, I played like in college again. It's still like it's still amazing. It still holds up. Blisteringly hard. There's a level in the secret world where you're a parrot and you're flying through thorns, and it's a fucking nightmare.
Fucking a bitch.
And the wind blows you, and it's oh my god, but it's great.
So tentatively,
that's exactly what I would have done.
Yeah,
I have Diddy Kong in S, probably also not top of S, but it might be mid S, and then Country Original in high A and Country 3 in low A. Right now they're next to each other, but I think there's going to be a separation over time.
Also, I have to point out, like, not that the story is like, oh my god, it's amazing, but like, KOing the main character in the sequel and having like his son set off on a quest to find him, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
The story's actually better than it had any right to be for like a bunch of like monkey politics, you know. So
I would like to take just one moment here because I see it to put Donkey Konga and Donkey Konga 2 in D.
Okay,
for Donkey Konga.
This actually had the peripherals, right? Because
Yes.
I don't think they worked very well from what I remember.
No, and while the idea was fun, and to be clear, I tried this game and it wasn't like it was terrible, but like this was right about the hotspot of Nintendo going way too far on specific things for games like Hey You Pikachu and the 4 things you needed for Crystal Chronicles and 4 Swords Adventures, and it's like, okay, guys. And this was like pre the renaissance of Rock Band and Guitar Hero, so they were out on their own island at this point. And so the only reason I'm putting them down in D is because it's like, okay, fun game, but that should have been an arcade unit that had dedicated bongos that were real instead of some home cheap peripheral.
Well, so can we go Donkey Kong 64 then, or is there?
Yeah, let's go 64, and then we'll look at some of the more recent games.
Did anyone like this game more than I did? Because I liked it quite a bit, and I feel like it gets a bad rap. But yeah, I mean it does. It has a bad reputation, right?
I honestly know zero about this game because I didn't have an N64. So
well, that's not true because you know the rap. I'm sure you've heard the rap.
DK Donkey Kong is
it was
here.
in the movie.
Yeah, well, the Super Mario movie helped that a lot.
In the Mario movie
for like 2 seconds. But
sure.
Yeah, Cody, did you play Donkey Kong 64?
I don't feel like I played enough of it to have a really strong opinion on it, honestly.
So it's just like another Banjo-Kazooie or like Mario 64. It's just a collect-a-thon. The criticism it gets is it took it way too far. There's like a million different things to collect. It's too much. But it's a really fun game. It's like exactly in that same vein. And I thought Banjo-Kazooie is like one of the greatest games ever made. Like that series is incredible. So to have this game, which is just that game, and Dixie Kong and Lanky Kong, and they have all these different abilities. It was like really, really fun still. So I'm gonna
leaving out one of the Kongs.
What?
You're leaving out some of the Kongs when you were listing them off. You didn't even list the best
where's
ones.
Cranky?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say every single one, but, they were all in there, and they all had their moment in the rap, and I think it's an A, which is way higher than anyone else in the world would give it, but, like, I still think it's really good just because people were sick of collecting things. It's not my problem. Low A, but A.
It's going to end up in B.
I mean, Sean's going to be a sucker for, I have to spend how many hours playing this game? Fine, I'll just keep playing it then.
Yeah. That's a thing, a trait of you that I don't think a lot of us share, where you're like, oh, this is hard, well, I must continue.
Yeah, but I will admit when it's like a detriment. Like I've had that where it's like, well, the sunk cost with games for me is very strong. This was one though that I really just did enjoy. This was legitimate. We'll get into the other games where I was like, I don't know why, I just felt like I had to finish it and I hated every second.
Was that Mass Effect Andromeda maybe?
Yeah, that was one of them. That may be the best example. So
what about Returns? Donkey Kong Country Returns.
I don't even know that one. That was like a Switch-ish game, or maybe the Wii, but some of these start getting really hard. Returns might have been it. Tropical Freeze was also, I know, really tough.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good, right? It was kind of like a return to form. It was in that classic vein.
Essentially, yeah. This was for the Wii, and I think it was nice just to see it return to this level. Again, it does not reach the peaks of any of the 3 countries, in my opinion, but it felt like Donkey Kong had kind of been floundering ever since 64. There were a few games and stuff, but it wasn't like, and I didn't really like Barrel Blast. I don't really care to review it, but, just stuff like that in between. We're like, okay, this is back to what makes Donkey Kong Country work. Fun platforming. You have the 2 different characters, so there is the co-op option, or you switch when one dies or whatever. So, like, it's like a low B for me. 64 ended up in high B just because I'm not a huge fan of it, and that still could maybe shift into A. But, like, this is like mid to low B for me.
I would agree with that. And the same for Tropical Freeze if it's on here.
Which
maybe like high B even.
Is
that it? That's not it. What is that?
I can't tell from here.
I have to go look up what that cover is.
On it.
You know what is so?
Yeah.
Again, I don't see it. I don't think Banjo-Kazooie's on this list.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. That's Tropical Freeze.
Oh, okay,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, I was like, I saw it. I'm like, I thought that's exactly what that was.
Dave, you missed last episode when I was bitching about how they put these tiers together, and I'm gonna bitch again because I don't see Banjo-Kazooie here. And if you have Donkey Kong, that's all the work you needed to put a Banjo-Kazooie on the list. It's rare. It's a first-party publisher. Fucking do it, but they didn't.
Yep.
Banjo-Kazooie, S tier, for what it's worth.
Perfect Dark, A tier.
Perfect Dark. The first one is an A or S. I mean, the first one's really good.
The sequel is D.
The sequel is lower than. The sequel is a bad game. It's not even like
among the worst games on here.
That
we're probably
the Perfect Dark Zero would be the worst game on this entire list.
Probably.
It was bad.
I have Tropical Freeze slightly ahead of Returns. They're both low B.
Me too. Yeah.
I think Tropical Freeze is slightly more fun.
They did. What was the remake? They released it again on the Switch, and that's what I played it on, and it was fun. It was good.
Yeah, some really cool level design, especially in Tropical Freeze.
Yeah,
and good soundtracks on both. I don't really care about the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series.
Nope.
And as such, I'm about ready to move on from Donkey Kong unless there's something else here somebody really wants to talk
I don't even
about.
see. The lands were fun, but they're just more of the country.
They're
but
poor man's country. I don't really know if I care to rank them.
Yeah, I don't either. So okay. So what's next?
Yeah, what is next?
Metroid? I feel like we should probably do Metroid or Kirby.
I see F-Zero on the screen.
We can quickly tackle F-Zero.
We can quickly tackle F-Zero, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of franchises that have died for no real reason, although I know we just had the F-Zero 99 equivalent come out recently, and people were like, well, that's kind of cool, but also we'd rather just have a full game.
F-Zero was like as good as Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo. Like they were very close together.
So from my memories of F-Zero trying to play that was Mario Kart was tough. F-Zero was impossible to like comprehend what was happening on screen. Maybe this is my shitty being a 10-year-old, but it was so fast that I just crashed instantly. I'm like, what's happening? Then I just give up because I got mad.
Really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And spoilers, it only gets worse. But
it does not sound fun at all.
But I mean, it's fun. They're fun. I really like the original. Like it's really fun. And yeah, there's a bit of a learning curve. But when you get used to the speed, Dave, it's really fun.
I guess, and I never did take the time to do that as a kid because I had games like Mario Kart, or I had games. I basically had a lot of sports games. I'm like, well, I'll just go back to this, and NBA Live '95 is great, so it wasn't.
It's funny because of the technology. In my head, F-Zero looks very similar to Mario Kart, like the way that the level like progresses.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like they only had so many ways to convey 3D in a 2D system, so.
I feel like I would have a much better opinion of F-Zero if I was able to play it today, but also then I'd have the comparison to Mario Kart 8 and be like, oh god, there's a lot of flaws in this. So yeah. I don't know. I'm curious now actually how that would go. I wonder if it's on the Switch. I gotta check if it's on the Switch Virtual Console.
GX is probably the best game in the series. What's interesting about that is that's a GameCube game. It's 2003. I just looked it up because I was curious. So with the introduction of 99 last month, that's the first F-Zero game in 20 years.
Nice. Great.
Kind of crazy when you think about it. Because, yeah, like the original deserves some credit. It was a lot of fun. It showed off the Mode Zero? What's the Super Nintendo thing called? Like Yoshi's Island used? Mode 9?
Oh, there was some like special graphics chip that Star Fox used.
That did this pretend 3D effect that was so prevalent at the time in the back half of the SNES's life. I think I had like the original in high B, and GX might be low A. And I don't really care about X. That's the 64 one. I never really played it.
I heard the GX is divisive because it's what I have heard. It is brutally hard.
Yes. It also has a story mode, so you would like it more.
I would like it more.
I seem to recall this being a game I rage quit and never, ever, ever went back to the rest of my life.
Wait, F-Zero X, what was that on?
64.
I feel like that one was not really well reviewed.
It was fine, but I never played it myself, and an impression seemed to be like, eh.
Okay.
So I'm going to put F-Zero in B, and I'm going to put GX in the lowest spot of A, and that may change later.
So, Cody, when I was a little kid, I made my own gaming company, and it was heavily modeled after Nintendo because what I loved was Nintendo, they had action game, adventure game, racing game. They had they covered all these different genres in such a unique way. And F-Zero was a part of that. I don't know why they abandoned the entire idea. But it's cool.
That Dave and I both said that we didn't know how to fucking play it, and we lost all.
Well, there you go. So bad gamers as well.
Maybe.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I see Kirby on the screen next. Metroid's down there at the bottom.
There's so many Kirbys.
Let's tackle
so
some
many
Kirbys.
Holy shit.
Not all the Kirbys. I'm going to go first. I love Kirby's Block Ball. I've talked about it before. It's, just a breakout clone, but with superpowers and lots of personality and surprisingly fun boss fights. And is this nostalgia talking to a certain extent? Sure, I'll recognize that, but that's like an A for me.
Yeah, I've never played it. I have no idea, so I would trust.
I've never played it
for
either.
it.
I'm sure I'm in
Yeah.
the minority. More people played Pinball Land than played Block Ball. But for some reason, I don't even know how I ended up with that. I have no idea.
It sounds like my Yoshi's Cookie story,
Kind
where
of.
you just stumbled upon it and it hit you in the right time and it was great.
So, like, obviously, we need to get to, like, Superstar and some of the big standouts of this series, but I'm going to start with Block Ball, and I want to put it in low A.
All right.
I'm not going to argue because I don't know anything to argue against, but I have a very strong feeling about one particular game on the Nintendo.
Okay, go for it.
Kirby's Adventure.
Okay.
Kirby's Adventure. I know it's the second one in the series. That one is, for me, maybe nostalgia's sake, but I know it's not nostalgia because I actually played through it again on the Switch emulator. It's an S. I freaking loved this game. It's the first one where you really introduced the powers, where you get to suck up the enemies and become the powers. The level design is amazing. The DDD is not the final boss of that game. It's a Nintendo game, and somehow it has a lot of depth to it for being on regular Nintendo back in the day. I absolutely love this game.
So the problem that I'm going to have with Kirby is, like, I played a bunch of them. I couldn't tell you which one was which. So that's going to be my barrier here. What's the one, Dave, where at the end of the game you have to escape and there's all these stars flying and you're flying and you have to, like, escape as you, like, fly across the level, and that's like you beat the final boss and you escape as a flying star.
That's this one. That's this one. There's like a vampire guy almost that you fight when you have the star rod that you're like throwing stars at him. And then you have to escape electricity. That's this one. That's this one.
This one is borderline S. I would probably put a high A, just all things considered.
I'd be S me myself, but
it is really good. This is the game
like
made me like fall in love with Kirby. It's
and it's the first one you got to have powers. Like you got to suck up the powers, and then all of a sudden you suck up the enemy, and I have the beam. The UFO was the best one in this game by far. I don't know if you remember this well, but there's like 2 levels where it existed, and you could go out there and be like, I get to be the UFO and zip around the whole level. It was amazing.
It's an excellent game. Yeah, it's one of the best games on Nintendo I ever played.
Yep.
You ever played it,
Sean
Chris?
is right by me trying to remember which one I actually played. It is so hard to remember which one's which.
Yeah, there's 4 in particular I know
Holy
I played separately, and then the rest I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah.
I have 3.
I know I did one on Super Nintendo, and that was the one that really stood out to me.
That one's excellent.
That's probably
too.
Superstar.
To me, that's the one I would give S to. Whereas the first one I would give really high A. So Chris, where are you on the?
Some people would have Adventure as the best in the series. It's not just Dave's take on it. Sometimes we make fun of Dave for having takes that are like, well, that's not what people would think. He's just weird. But I think Adventure might be the lowest S.
Yeah,
okay.
I'd put it S myself. So
if you're both going S, then it is S. Well, unless I'm like it's a D, but I'm not. I like it a lot. So
given my complete lack of remembering any of it, assuming Dave's not bullshitting. If you're introducing the stealing of the powers and things like that, and crucial staples to what Kirby does and what makes Kirby fun, especially with the fact that you have to code in X amount of powers that Kirby can do, that game probably should be rated pretty high up.
Well, and the story was kind of pretty good, actually. It was kind of cool what they were doing back on Nintendo and with Kirby, and that's why I kind of don't get now Kirby's like this like little kid mascot for like cutesiness, because like he is cute, but I'm like Kirby's a fucking badass. Mm-hmm. And I want to go back to that, but anyways.
Well, it's especially
blame Smash for that.
Yeah, we're probably not going to talk about a ton of the Yoshi games, especially having already put Yoshi's Island in the Mario section. But it's weird to me that they've done that with both Kirby and Yoshi. They're like both cute characters for babies now. It's like, why did you need both franchises to do that, if any?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Superstar is the other one that I think people would consider among the highest.
Yeah.
That was my S. Because that one's so great, and you have Meta Knight and this whole like sprawling story. The powers are really cool.
The racing mode's fun. The gourmet race, might also be an S.
And you can play
weird.
it with friends. I don't know if you can play the original with friends. This one you could play as co-op, so that just like ticks it up another level for me. I love this one.
Yeah. Never touched this one.
That's the one. This is the one that I played a lot of. Then thank you, Sean, for really reigniting my brain on remembering all of that right now with the co-op part of it.
Now to have 2 Kirby's in S feels a little weird, but that's where it is. Like when
Kirby's
good,
a good character.
Really good, yeah.
Does it help at all with the Kirby's Adventure being an S, make you feel better if you remember the mini games that existed in there? There's a crane game mini game. There's a quick draw mini game.
Oh yeah.
Quick draw
and there was a boxing, and there was the eat the eggs mini game where you had to avoid the bomb, and But the minigame. It is mini games. It had level design, a hub world, and mini games in there. Adventure belongs in S.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stand.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we're past that. I also think Superstar is an S.
Has 2 S's in its name, so you would think it would end up in S. But we may end up dropping it down the road. We'll see. Because 2 does seem a little high, but there's none others on this list that are going to make it in there.
Not at all.
Epic Yarn might be a D.
Yeah. Epic Yarn is just like there's no conflict.
It has charm. It's a kid game. I can't put it in D. It had moments.
Okay, can I fight for Star Allies to be in D because of how just pointless it feels to play? You can just literally walk through the level and you have so much goddamn life. Like, they give you such a long life bar that you can just walk through the level. And then, as long as you have computer companions with you, they'll go beat all the bad guys for you. There's no skill to this game whatsoever in Kirby Star Allies.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. There's a lot of Kirbys that I feel like...
There's Star Allies. I had to remember what the box art was. I found it.
At some point, they just, like, stopped...
Yeah, it's, like, too easy.
They just, like...
Yeah.
There's all these, like, weird spin-off games with Kirby. It's like they don't know what to do with them anymore. It's like, you could just go back to, like, what made Kirby good. Did you ever... What about that? No?
Which they did.
I'll put Epic Yarn and C.
That's fine.
That's fair. I have a beef with Epic Yarn, so that's fine with me.
It's pleasant.
Okay. So, and some of these, like, I see, like, Kirby something 3 there in the...
Dreamland 3?
I don't know. Is it good? I have no idea. I never played it.
There's quite a few of these I haven't played.
So the only other ones that I know of, Chris, we played one on the Wii.
That's the one I'm looking for now. Something like Revolut or what?
And that one,
figure out. It's the one I think I'm mousing over right now.
And that
one that had the 4-player co-op.
Yes, that one was a B.
Where you bird feed each other. So
yes,
B for bird
feeding. That was good.
You give each other health by feeding each of the other players.
Yeah.
It's kind of gross.
That also happened in Star Allies, where you kiss each other basically and it's like, what?
And you're like, okay, so Kirby eats stuff. This is known, right? Great. Sucks it up, turns into stuff, eats stuff, no problem. DDD kind of eats stuff. He also has inhaling powers, but not really to the same level as Kirby. There's really no reason for Meta Knight or Waddle Dee to be doing any of this. It has nothing to do with their characters, but they're going to get bird fed too, motherfucker. You're all getting bird fed.
Yeah.
Meta Knight's got the sword. That's what he's got.
Yeah, it was pleasant. It was a B. Like, it wasn't great, but it was more Kirby in the vein of Kirby that I like, so it was B.
Yeah, and it had co-op.
Yeah,
I like co-op, but it was actually good. It wasn't just thrown in.
The new Kirby game, did you play it? It's probably not on this list anyways.
It's not.
Forgotten Land. Forgotten Land is
awful.
I heard it,
but we can talk about it.
You said it's awful?
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Awesome.
Really good.
Yeah, I have it. I'm going to play it someday with Doug.
It's very fun. It is not a great game by any means.
That's kind of what
but it is definitely
it's pretty
fun.
Easy.
It is
Honestly,
easy, but it's not as easy as Star Allies. But when you mentioned earlier about Kirby going back to what it does best, I think that's what Forgotten Land does, because they introduce new powers, they introduce new things that you can do that you couldn't do in previous games, like suck up a car and become a freaking car.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's done a really good job at it.
What's the Nintendo 64 one? That one was a B for me. It was just
Crystal Shards, I think. Yeah, here it is.
It was perfectly fine.
I expect you see the little 64 there. Plus, it has that trademark N64 box thing with the only on hiding there. I think I'm fine with that in B. I put Pinball Land in B. It's kind of like the other pinball games, like Pokemon.
Yeah.
Except for Metroid, which we'll get to.
And now we've reached the extent of my Kirby knowledge.
Yeah, is there any other Kirby? Now, I know the Kirby fans out there are like, what the fuck? You haven't played blah, blah, blah? I never had any of the Dreamlands.
Neither did I.
Never did. Never had Dream Course. I think I played Avalanche on a friend's SNES, but I don't remember it very well. And then from beyond that, like, I kind of fell off. I heard Tilt and Tumble had some fun moments. Air Ride was reviewed decently well.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, I think Max Attack was the one that had all the Kirbys.
I feel like Canvas Curse had some fun things to it. I just don't remember playing it.
Right. And then Rainbow Curse was more of that, but still similar problems. So, like, I'm okay not ranking any other ones. It's not because we dislike, it's just we don't play the series that's on here.
I think a lot of them would fall in B. Like, perfectly solid experiences.
They're fine. They're playable. They're bug-free. Because I saw it, I know we have Metroid on the horizon, but I don't want to forget about it hiding up here. So 1080 snowboarding is one we need to put on the list. There it is.
I liked 1080 snowboarding. It was a little more realistic than, like, what was the tricky one?
SSX.
SSX tricky.
SSX was like really arcade. This was like a little more realistic, right? But like still
Tricky's
kind of
also-
arcadey.
SSX is also unfortunately better than this, just because it has a little bit more to it. Since 1080 is so early on, I feel like in this idea of snowboarding games.
Yeah, I'm torn on this because I played it recently. It was just put out on Nintendo Online. I don't know, last week or I guess 2 weeks ago by the time this airs. So I played it again for the first time in a while, and it did not hold up well.
It does not hold up
At
very well at all. It's
all.
very.
But back in the
minimalistic.
day, it was
Back in
pretty
the day,
cool.
you're like, holy shit! Like it wasn't a snowboarding game.
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me of like Wave Race, where you're like, whoa, we haven't really tackled something like this before. But even then, you had stuff like Tubin and some other games that sort of scratched the surface of water sports. You just didn't really have anything like this. People are like, well, what about Ski Free? And I'm like, motherfucker, that's not the same thing at all.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah. The trick is that like I don't know when the years of when Tony Hawk came out versus this, but
Much
you start
later.
to get into the trick based thing, and Tony Hawk just absolutely crushes this game.
Yeah.
Yes. So even then, I guess you kind of knew there was trouble. I'm going to put it in C just as a recognition of like it was definitely good back in the day. The C is for the C stick, which is not even on the N64.
Good.
All right. We might as well tackle Metroids because they're center of the screen now. So that might be a me and Sean heavy section, but we'll go relatively quickly. And we might as well just do them in order, which they've done a decent job finally. I didn't rearrange these. They're actually just pretty much in order.
So here's my problem. Do we give the original Metroid? It's like, so we so often will give points for like doing something really well.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the original Metroid is like nigh unplayable. I really did not enjoy my time with it. It has not aged like a lot of the other games in the series have aged. And when you play like Zero Mission, which is just one but like good, you're like, oh, this is much better. But oh no, it broke.
Yeah, I think I clicked off. I'll get it back. Got it.
Nice.
Okay, fixed.
What do you think though?
If we're gonna put Donkey Kong in B, then the original Metroid can't be any lower
That's
than B.
fair. That's fair.
Because this is more playable than Donkey Kong is.
That is absolutely true.
And it deserves credit for its depth. It deserves credit for the Samus reveal. Like it touches on some things that I think still matter, and it is still playable. It does not have many of the much better touchstones the franchise adopted later, but like it has to be above Donkey Kong. Otherwise,
Maybe we
we've
should
lost
put
our
Donkey
way.
Kong in C. Just
I'm
kidding.
gonna put Donkey Kong lower in B now, though.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Like, I don't think I can drop it into C because again, it was so influential. But and Metroid 2 is a similar problem. On the one hand, what it did on a portable system, as I alluded to a couple weeks ago, is really impressive. The depth in this game for a portable game is pretty phenomenal. It also does not hold up especially well.
I actually like it though. I had more fun playing 2 than I did the first one, and it 2 has more in common with Super Metroid as far as presentation and graphics and all of that. It does not look like the original.
Yes.
So 2 I thought was like B. I thought 2 was pretty good, even though yeah, it gets surpassed by a lot later.
Now, the interesting part about this is we also have the remake here.
Yeah.
And they're very different because the remake adopted a lot of the things that had happened over the series over the years, but like we haven't really been ranking them separately to this point, but we could. It's up to you.
I feel like we should, because the Metroid 2 is like low B, and Metroid Remake 2 is like
An A.
an A, and a lot of what makes Dread so good they borrowed from this
true.
remake. Actually,
I'm good with that. I gotta find it again.
it's right there.
There
Yeah,
it is. I'll put that in A. Above Block Ball and GX.
beautiful,
F-Zero. There you
beautiful. Yeah, it's good.
go. Super Metroid's an S.
I mean, that's an S. Do we even? Well, I think we
It
talked about
was
it on our best
like,
of all
what was it,
time.
12th
So like,
all time for us
yeah,
or something.
I mean, it's really, really good.
And it's amazing that we jumped from Metroid 1 and 2.
Yes.
And again, 2 is a lot more playable than 1, to then this, which is still a standard of like some platforming to a certain extent, and also basically the template for Metroidvania games.
Yep.
This and the early Castlevanias basically own that market, which is why they're named the way they are. So like, I mean, I could put this at the top, but
I mean, you probably just should.
I
It-
think
'cause it's
because
better
of
than
where we
Donkey
put
Kong
it as a
Country
group
2.
on our list, I think it has to be, and we'll
Yeah.
see if it stays there. But for now, it's the first.
Sure.
I gotta get back down. These are so far apart. It's the only downside of doing this way. Fusion, man, I don't think I can put it in S. I think it's really high A.
I think it's A.
I think there's, because we have to put at least 2 Metroid games in S, I don't think Fusion can join it. But just the fact that it set the tone so well for some of the stuff that followed, like Dread, as
Exactly.
far as like being scared for your fucking life
Yep.
and you're being pursued by this thing that stole your suit.
And the story is good. Like for the first time, they kind of did I think a great blend of story with ambient
Yes.
storytelling, and then they ruined it in Other M.
Boy, do they.
But they
Let me just go ahead and put Other M and D. In fact, it's going to be, because there aren't some of the other games we mentioned, I don't know if anything's going to beat Other M and D.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, A.
I have it on
Metroid
top
Fusion.
of, well, I don't know if I can put it on top of Donkey Kong Country. I'll tell you what, I'll put it right below it
That's fair.
in A. Prime is
That's an
S.
S. That's an S.
And I actually wish that had been in our top 25. It just missed.
That's sad.
But like, I think it's also above the Donkey Kong Country 2 spot because it's the Citizen Kane of gaming. We've made fun of that many times.
There's almost nothing more impressive on the GameCube than like this game. They pulled off this thing that nobody thought they could do.
Yep.
And it's amazing. And the fact that Cody and Dave have not played it, that it means their opinions on everything else are irrelevant.
It's on the Switch. It was re-released earlier this year. Well, you can
Yeah.
go play it now. It won't make either of our top 10s because there's too many games this year.
Yeah.
That's a false equivalency, just so you know. Like that those two don't like work
No,
together.
I think that's correct.
But they do.
That's fine. I'll take my insult. I don't care.
Yeah, they don't, but they do. So, but Metroid Prime 2, I don't think I finished it. I was just I thought the light and dark worlds were interesting, but then they got annoying. It was such a slog to get through the dark world.
I have 2 as a B.
That's fine. Let's just put it at B, and
There.
it was
in
good.
the middle of B. It's good. And then 3 is like a C.
I liked 3. I played it later though. I played the remake was the first time I played it, so I think it was better, or like the remaster or whatever. However, no, actually I didn't. They've never remastered it. I don't think. I just busted out my Wii. That's what I did. Yeah, it was good, but it was worse than 2.
The whole idea of introducing these characters only to kill them off quickly, I was like, what do we do? Why did you, what is the point of this?
Yeah, I kind of liked it though, because you meet you're like, oh, rivals, and then they're all bad, so you have to fight them all. That was cool.
It's like the strength of Metroid is when she's on her own.
That was a problem I thought permeated the entire game, because there was all these people and these commandos, and she was on a space station, and yeah, that we agree on that point.
Zero Mission is like a B.
I really like Zero Mission. I would definitely say B.
I can't stick it in A. I have it like high B.
Yeah.
Because it's a really nice remake of the first game that, again, introduces some stuff that was like really noticeably missing in retrospect.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, you have super missiles now. Oh, you have the whole Zero Suit section, which introduced
That was
people
new.
to a brand new fetish. So that's great.
Yeah, there you go.
Metroid Prime Pinball is an A. It is easily the best offshoot pinball game that was ever made.
Go for it. Just put it in there.
Okay.
I don't.
I'm not going to put it high in A.
Okay.
I'll put it right there next to Block Ball for my little weird quirky side games that just have IPs on them that are just other basic games. Just great soundtrack, tons of fun.
Metroid
perfect portable
Hunters.
game.
S? High A? Just kidding.
Yeah.
It's like terrible.
Yeah, that's
it's not even like a Metroid game.
No, I think it's a D just because it's not it's not a Metroid game.
It's not a Metroid game, and it doesn't play super well. So it's like, what is it here for?
And then there was one more. Where did it go? Oh, Federation Force.
Oh, that's like F. Can we put it in?
Yeah,
an F?
actually, in retrospect, that's in D, and we'll put Hunters in the lowest of C.
Okay, there you go.
They're not equal. Therefore, there has to be low C.
And then Dread is. I thought I saw it down there.
I don't think it is, but let's double check.
I could have sworn I saw it. That's so sad. Maybe I was making it up.
Well, the problem is I'm not even entirely sure where all of those were because we don't have any reference point anymore.
Yeah. If we come across it, we'll rate it. But in the meantime, we can move on.
Keep an eye out for it. It's like a low A for me.
I would say high A, but so it sounds like it's A for us.
Yeah. If we find it, we'll put it there. We should, since I see it here, talk about Star Fox.
Oh yeah, that was the other one I wanted to.
Sure. Absolutely.
I like both of I like all the Star Foxes quite a bit.
All of them.
Well,
all of them.
Okay.
I say, Sean, there are 7 Star Fox games on the screen right now. You're going to have to be careful.
That's not fair. Yeah.
I mean, we gotta start with Star Fox on Super Nintendo.
Yes,
Just
let's
like
do
the
that.
first
And it was great.
I mean, it was. I remember it being the big deal was that FX chip that Chris mentioned earlier. Like
Yep.
that was all the advertising
That's
back
the
then.
one.
It's like, hey, we've got this special thing that's going to make it so much better. And I remember playing it, and I thought it was fun. I mean, it's for a rail shooter that the genre that became. It was plenty fun. It's not that fun to play anymore. The original on Super Nintendo is not fun to play anymore. I don't think.
It's okay. It's okay still. I mean, I don't know if we can go more than B because, yeah, I mean, 64 just did everything the original did, but way better.
Way better.
Way better.
But, I mean, 3D on a Super Nintendo, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I mean, Donkey Kong had the same type of deal.
No, but it didn't because there was 3D. 3D texturing and moving through a 3D space are very different things.
I'm gonna put it in B out of respect for what it was at the time.
Yeah, I'd be a little lower in B myself, but that's fine.
All right, I'll put it above Donkey Kong because it's still more playable than Donkey Kong.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair.
There you go.
And then Star Fox 2 like didn't release here.
Never
right?
No,
Never
so
played it.
it's kind of hard to rank nowadays.
I never played it. We probably shouldn't.
But 64.
Oh man,
64 is an S. It's an S.
it's.
Yes.
It's an S.
I think it
I
is.
think it has
Yes.
to be
Is
an
an
S.
S. I agree.
I love this game.
Yeah.
S for Star Fox.
The weird thing about it is that it had that charm of the time where you could blow through this game in like 10 minutes. Like maybe that's an exaggeration, but like you could absolutely just blow through this game and then play it again with an entirely different experience playing through the game again because you had all the different paths you could go.
Dave, we're making a similar point. There might not be a game I spent more time on than Nintendo 64, and we're talking like Zelda, like epics, right? And all these long games.
Original Smash Brothers. Yeah.
I played the hell out of Star Fox 64. Like,
Yeah, and
so much.
for me, never owning an N64, I have played the Star Fox 64 a stunning amount of time. I had friends that had it, and like we would just go over and play. All right, here we go. We're playing multiplayer, and I'd get the tanks out and the sub out, and like I just remember like when we had unlocked the tanks and play that as part of the multiplayer. I'm like, you mean I can just roll around on the ground and shoot bastards flying through the air? Fine, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you unlock like the U-turn and the barrel roll. Well, you always had the barrel roll, but the one where you go in a full loop, and it was so fun. And then you had the on rails, but then you had like the free boss fight movement.
All range mode.
All range mode, and the different paths and secret exits and different things put you on different.
And the dialogue, which, yes, it's campy, it's corny, it really doesn't hold up well after all these years. But for its time, kind of a big deal.
And Star Wolf, that was a plot that mattered to me when I was.
Oh, the rival gang,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the most
every
fun
time they
fight in
came
the
along,
game.
and they're making fun of Peppy for losing, Fox's father. It's like, oh shit, like this guy used to be part of the team. Yeah, it does get deep.
I bet your dad screamed real good before he died.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
wow.
Damn, that's
Okay.
dark.
I remember booting this game up on 64, and I feel like this is one of the first things of like just being stunned at what this game was and like how different video games were starting to really become. As I'm sitting there being like, oh my god, this is what this is now. And that first level to me, like when you're going through the tutorial part of it all, I just have like such vivid memories of that level specifically.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
There's 75 lines of dialogue from this game that live rent-free in my head.
Exactly.
That I will be
Get the
thinking about.
guy behind me, Fox.
As I'm riddled with dementia on my deathbed, I will still remember, gee, I've been saved by Fox. How swell. Like, there's just so many different lines. Like, I could make an entire soundboard of lines from this game alone, and they would just stick out to me.
I feel like I'm gonna walk into a pickup basketball game and see like how good the guys are, and my brain will say enemy shield analyzed.
This to me is why tier lists are fun. If you've noticed, we've been doing more of them this year in particular. It's partly because this did not make our top 25 this time. It only made our top 25 a decade ago because Gary had it as his number one, which we've joked about. None of us voted for it either time. But all of us love this game, and I'm happy it gets to be an S because it's not like we have to compare it relative to other stuff. We are in a tier list, but you know what I mean? It's not like, well, I can't vote for this because this.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wasn't sure if it would end up in S. I thought maybe it was going to be for A, but I'm glad it did.
Nope.
I remember going through this game and playing the Independence Day level and just thinking like, God, this is such a ripoff, and I'm okay with it. I'm totally okay with this because you had all the friends helping you out.
Yep.
Man, even though everything was scripted and the involvement of the other people was very rarely useful, like especially fucking Slippy, I don't know. It just felt like you saw them so little, and it still felt like, oh, my squad's here. They're helping. Rob's got support from the ship. He's sending me a bomb to use. Cool, that's great. Like it all just it fucking clicked.
Yep.
Adventures would be really easy to put in D, and I'm going to.
I never played it.
That was on the Wii, I believe.
I think this was
GameCube.
No, GameCube. This was the start of Rare kind of slipping.
I mean, here's the problem. It's been talked about over the years, so we don't have to spend much time on it. But everything we loved about 64 wasn't really in Adventures. You took him out of his R-Wing, and you put him on the ground with a bow, and you went, okay, let's make this Rare ripoff in the sense that it's now like a Banjo-Kazooie or something, except really poorly done.
But it wasn't even a Star Fox game. It was a different game that they just slapped Star Fox onto.
Essentially.
For, I guess, brand recognition.
Like a rail shooter. It was almost like a rail shooter, but you ran. Like, right? You think you ran through the level on foot.
I think it was just a generic adventure game, I think.
Okay, it might have been then. Okay.
But this, a lot like Zero Mission, this also introduced a new fetish, which is crystal. So if anybody's a furry out there because of this game, congratulations. But that's about the only lasting impression is left on anybody.
So, like, Star Fox, I should have been more interested in the one for the DS, and I wasn't, because I heard it's just, like, more of 64. But it never piqued my interest at all. Mm-hmm. Why was that?
Either.
I think they
had the experience, I can only think.
I mean, the problem is, like, Assault was decent. The problem was people were still so reeling from Adventures that I don't think a lot of people gave it its fair shake. I don't know if I care enough to rank it. If I did, it'd probably be a low B or something.
I never played any. I think we might.
And I never played Zero.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of tapped out here on Star Foxes that I care to rank.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We at least need to acknowledge those three. I also see it on the screen. We have to get to Smash eventually, but Punch-Out needs to be on our list.
Yep, that's what I thought.
And what's interesting about this is you can make a case for either one being higher than the other.
I mean, I know the original Punch-Out more. The crazy thing about that is I try to put myself back into that time playing Punch-Out and playing the Tiger, I can't remember, is that Prince Tiger or something? I think that was his name. Mm-hmm. And he would like bounce around, and if you didn't know what to do, you were just screwed. Like, you could try again and again and again and again, and just you were screwed unless you knew exactly what to do. And there was just a staple of those games back then where you had to be like, well, I had a friend who told me how to beat it, and that's how I figured out how to do it. It's crazy to me to think of that time in gaming.
Super Punch-Out is a much better game.
Yeah.
It's got, additional meters. It's got characters with so much personality, just brimming. Like, every individual boxer has unique signature attacks that you have to learn and then dodge or counter. And yes, some of those elements are in the first one. You just never really saw anything like that first game. And the fact that it's got Tyson attached to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not anymore. They've lost the ability to do that in some of the re-releases where, God, I can't remember the other guy who looks like Ali. Whatever his name is, basically replaces Tyson as the last guy now.
Foreman, I think.
I can picture him, but anyways, like, Tyson's on this game, and Mario's the referee, and you're just this little tiny dude against these hulking behemoths. Because of the work it did to set the table, I kind of think I have the original ahead of Super Punch-Out. Super Punch-Out's a ton of fun, though.
I tell you guys, never played any of them.
I played the original a lot, never played the Super, so I have fond memories of Punch-Out, though, the original.
Since it's been brought up, I will just very quickly mention that if you haven't seen people play these games blindfolded...
Oh, yeah.
Quite fun to watch.
Because now, forget just trying to learn the patterns, which is already hard enough, as Dave mentioned. Some of those attacks are very tricky. Some of them are like 1 or 2 frame windows to respond to. Now you have to do it based solely on timing and audio cues.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I have, like, Punch-Out in mid-A and Super Punch-Out in low A or high B.
I could be fine with Punch-Out in mid-A.
I think I'm going to put it right in the middle. Right in the... God, I wish I wasn't using my leg as a mouse pad. And then Super Punch-Out, no, that's Super Mario World Bowser's furry.
Because he becomes a cat.
Goes above F-Zero and B.
Can we do Pikmin?
Yeah.
It's on the
I
far
know
right.
nothing about
Pikmin 1, 2, 3, and Hey Pikmin, which we will not be ranking.
Yeah, I only really care to rank Pikmin 1 and
Okay.
maybe Pikmin 2. It might be S for me. It's really high. It's not. It's high A. The first Pikmin is so goddamn good. And what they did, one of the reasons it was good was you were on a time limit. Did you ever play Pikmin, Dave? You fucking idiot.
Me
All right.
neither.
Oh, no, it's only me? Oh, shit. Okay, well, I'll just
never
explain
touched
to
the
you.
franchise.
So the first one, it's so fun. You have to be really careful. It's this great like resource management while you're on a deadline. And it's so fun to try to maximize your time. Do you try to get like 2 parts in a single day? Because you could really optimize your days, and it made it really, really fun. Every other Pikmin game took away the time limit, and I was like, that was a huge part of the experience. That would be like saying a Dark Souls game, but it's easy, or like you don't lose your souls upon death. It's like, I know it's just one thing, but it takes away it was fundamental to the experience. So we'll say high A if no one else is out here to like check me. Pikmin 2 is probably a B, and then I never cared to play any of the other ones because the time limit was the best part, and they took it out.
I confused this with Pokemon when I was a kid, so I have no idea.
Since I'm trusting you on this, I'm just gonna put these in the decent spots.
You could do Pikmin 2 could even be lower,
okay.
Ash in B.
I'll go there.
Sure.
And then right in the middle.
Great.
I put, for the audio listeners, I put the first Pikmin third in A. I cannot put it above Donkey Kong Country or Metroid Fusion.
No, and it shouldn't go there. But it'll really good.
But I'll trust you on
really
the rest of it. By the way, Punch Out for the Wii was fine, but I don't care to rank it, just in
Okay.
case someone was wondering. Didn't forget about it. Did anybody play Advance Wars?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, it was good. I definitely prefer Fire Emblem, but you got some interesting fights in Advance Wars. I think I only played the first one.
I also only played the first one.
It
was fun and charming. I'd have it like high B.
Yeah, B is fine.
I'll put it right below Super Punch Out. Boom. I saw what I was going to talk about. Where did it go? There's so many games on this list. Oh, Wii Sports. Wii Sports.
Oh, God, what a complicated one.
We need to rank Wii Sports, and yes, it is complicated. We're getting to the end of this now. We just have the Smash games. We have a couple Yoshis. There's a couple other stragglers to get to, but we need to get Wii Sports and probably by proxy Wii Sports Resort. And I don't really care about Wii Fit. If somebody wants to make a case, fine. But those two, I think, need to be on the list.
So Wii Sports Resort, I don't know if I care about that. I mean, the original Wii Sports, man, I gotta say, what better way to introduce the system and the capabilities that system had? I played the shit out of Wii Sports all the time, and it's still fun. It's still playable, even to this day. It's not great, but it's still fun.
I almost want to be crazy and say it's an A because of what the influence was, how many people played it. Some of whom never played another video game in their life played Wii Sports. And some of the games still hold up, not super great, but like they hold up in the sense that they're still fun. I still enjoy the tennis. I still enjoy the baseball, which is a broken mess.
Yes.
But I still have fun with it. Like me and Peter and Sam, the guys from Minnesota, we will play baseball and we'll try to catch each other on pitches when the other's like not looking. And it's just, we scream at the TV when we have a botched infield play. It's still fun, man. The golf kind of sucks too, but it's fun enough to play.
Bowling's the key though.
The bowling is fun. I get frustrated, but the bowling is fun.
I've got this close to a perfect game.
And what's the fifth
this
one?
Close.
What's the
Boxing.
fifth?
The boxing, which is
Boxing sucked.
Which is the worst by far.
The boxing was fucking broken.
Yeah.
It was so broken.
It's
It
just
was,
arm
but it's
flailing.
fine.
Let's just call it what it
just
is.
Yeah.
So I would say like A. I mean, it doesn't really deserve A, but it also kind of deserves A for me. So
I think it deserves A. For what it did for the Wii, for what it did to introduce the capabilities of this system, I think it's A for sure. Now, Wii Play, on the other hand, is a freaking D. It's terrible. Wii Play is one of the worst stupid games they made.
Yeah, it's not good. I think you can make a case for Wii Sports in S. I think that's a little crazy. I don't think our list should reflect that, but I wouldn't, if somebody put it there, I'd be like, again, you talk about the most influential games of all time. This is in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right.
other than maybe like the original Super Mario Brothers, just because it was a phenomenon, you can argue nothing ever moved systems like this game.
I mean, couldn't you
Yeah.
argue that Wii Sports saved Nintendo? Like, if you really want to have a hot take, like after the GameCube and it really suffered and it lost a lot of third-party support, the Wii came in and just sold gangbusters, and Wii Sports was a huge part of that.
Yep.
You have people
the
that
fact
they
it came
they,
with it.
they own a Wii, all they own is Wii Sports.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah,
I-
I mean, to that point, like there are people I played this game with in high school that like never. You're right, never played video games, but like, yeah, they'll play tennis. That's fun. You're
Yeah.
gonna fucking end up smacking someone in the head with the controller as you're swinging as hard as you can.
Yeah.
I got hit in the head with controllers playing this game.
Yeah.
Personal story of that is my parents actually own a Wii. My mom enjoyed Wii Fit, which I will say Wii Fit is actually pretty fun for a lot of the mini games. I put it probably low B myself. But my parents have a Wii. They have Wii Sports and Wii Fit, and my dad will play tennis with one his right hand and one his main Wii Mii that he made, and they made a Mii called Lefty, and he would play himself in tennis with his right and left hand, and it was just like
Not
this is
bad
nuts.
exercise,
But my
really.
dad's enjoying it.
Yeah. That's not even really that bad of an idea.
No.
I don't even know if we need to rank any other ones. I mentioned Wii Sports Resort. and it's,
I would say Wii Fit, just because I have
Wii
a lot
Fit.
of experience with it. Actually, Dave, I can even say low A on Wii Fit because
Really?
it actually sort of finally did what Nintendo wanted. Was it did a good job of kind of telling you like where you were health wise. And you could get a good legitimately a good workout through this, whether it was the balance games or the little running stuff or the hula hooping was a hell of a workout. You do push-ups on the thing, and it actually did improve my balance.
Yes.
So there was actually like a point to this, and a lot of the mini games were fun. The soccer goalie,
Yeah.
it was fun, but kind of like as a lifestyle appliance as much as like a game.
For me, it was fun in like a 10-minute burst. I'm not going to play this for hours on end. I'm not going to try to like do all the mini games. But yeah, you play the soccer mini game, you play the juggling one, which I love the juggling one. I thought that was so much fun. Because I have pretty good balance and didn't have any issue with it. So I'm mid to high B on this myself.
And it's almost hard because you almost rate it not just as a game, but like I
Right.
was doing it every day. You like as a routine. If you did it for like 15 minutes a day, it's supposed to help with whatever. And it kind of did.
I've settled on high B. I think we've talked about some of the extracurriculars on these other games because, yeah, as a game, Wii Fit's
Yeah,
but because of what it represented and because a lot of people were using that for healthy reasons,
Mhm.
I don't mind that being high B.
worked. It worked.
Yeah. And then the rest of these, I don't care.
I played so Wario Land 1 was really fun. Actually, can we talk about Wario Land 1? It was an amazing game.
On the Virtual Boy?
On the Virtual Boy?
Okay, no, maybe I meant Wario Land 2 then. Because it's just a 3D side scroller and there's like secrets to uncover. I played it in Disneyland. This was another one that was a Disneyland game. And
I can't even talk to you right now.
And
I'm so mad at you.
it
It's fun.
was stellar. It actually is a really, really good game, Wario Land 2. And then I think they started kind of going off the deep end. This was just like it plays like a Mario game, but like different. And it was a kind of a breath of fresh air. And I think Mario's like the bad guy, but they like flip the head. They're like, if you're Wario, all of a sudden Mario is the fucking bitch. So it was really fun. I would say A.
Hey, Sean, do you want to go see Mickey? You want to get his autograph? No, I got to beat Mario.
No,
Sorry.
I got no Wario, Mom.
Are you sure it was
Shut
Wario
up,
Land 2?
Mom. It was Wario Land 2, yeah.
Okay.
Just kidding. You have a son there. Don't tell your mom to shut up. It's a bad influence.
That's right. He has earphones in for
Okay,
the audio,
good.
so he
Good,
can't
good,
hear.
good.
We can say all the bad words. I think we should quickly put a ranking on Wave Race 64.
Oh, pretty high, right? I
Yeah.
never played a lot of it, but I heard it was really good.
It's fun.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Is it more
It's
than like a
pretty
high B? I don't think so. It doesn't have like the
No,
depth
but
of
like
Diddy
to
Kong
your
Racing.
point, yeah, to your point of 1080 trying to do something new. I think Wave Race obviously did something new. I played a lot of this game. It was an easy. Like again, 64 did such a good job of giving you 4-player games. You just plug everything in and race. And this was one of those where you can just race each other over and over and over again. with the weird mechanics of dealing with wake and just getting crushed by waves and getting thrown off your course.
Yeah.
And
which is a unique thing.
Unlike 1080 snowboarding, I think this holds up decently well. So I'm going to put it like
yes, it does. It's much better than
mid-high
1080.
D. We're getting close to wrapping things up. I want to make sure you guys can scan the top part of this list because the bottom half is pretty much all Zeldas and Marios. There's not much hidden in there. There was one other. Well, I was going to ask, do we do anything with Kid Icarus? I've never played any of them.
No.
Okay.
I know nothing.
Well, then it's a weak spot for us, but we can't play everything.
I have one in particular I have to get to if no one else does, but I'll save it for see if we have anything else.
We'll just do it right now. What are you waiting for?
All right, if you're ready. I don't know if there's anything else you want to look at. Mine's Earthbound.
We should have done it in RPG.
We skipped Earthbound last time, but since we let Michaela do Animal Crossing in the RPG section, you can do Earthbound now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's phenomenal. I freaking love this game. It's really hard to go back and play without using emulators, without using resets and save states and all that stuff because it's hard. But what that did for kind of like the goofy yet dark genre, for what that did for just RPGs in general, I had a great time with it. I really enjoyed it. So
it's up to you. Where would you?
I didn't know if anyone else had another opinion. I mean, me personally, I probably put it in low A myself because it does have a bit of a cult following. It's goofy, but it's also it also has replayability to me, I think, because it's got such a long story to it. So I'm low A myself.
That's fine.
Given its reputation, I've played some of it. It just didn't hit me. And maybe I'm the one who's wrong.
I think I was crazy. I don't see Dread anywhere. I haven't
seen it. But like I said, like mid-A-ish.
Yeah.
It's good. So the question then is there anything else? I've never played any of the Box Boy games. Never played Chibi Robo. Looking at what else is here, I don't know. Like Captain Toad I played, and I don't care enough to rank. Didn't play the other Advance Wars. Rhythm Heaven games are fine in very small doses.
The WarioWare games are
Splatoon, don't care.
Fine.
Never played them.
So I don't know that we're missing anything, but let me scroll down here a little
the Yoshi
further
games that we're going to talk about, I think. A couple Yoshi games that we're going to talk about, right? With,
well, the problem is we did kind of. The only one we didn't talk about that I might care about is story, because we already mentioned Yoshi's Island. Yoshi's Woolly World was a letdown. Yoshi's Cookie and Yoshi we already talked about. Then I don't really
Yoshi's
care
Crafted
about
World. I don't know if we got into Yoshi's Crafted World. It's easy, but it's also fun. So it's along the lines of the Kirby games that we talked about earlier.
I'll put it next to Epic Yarn then.
I've been asking Dave to borrow one of the Yoshi games forever, and I am so good about letting him borrow games, and he's like, sorry.
What are you talking about? That was 3 years ago you asked me to do that.
I've been asking you since then. You said no because your kids still play it. You can't let me borrow it yet.
That was 3 years ago. Go here. You can have it next time I see you.
Okay.
This is productive.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, 3 years ago. That's how long I've been waiting for Yoshi's fucking.
You just asked me again.
I don't know the name of it.
Yoshi's Story. They're just gonna keep going, aren't they?
Probably. It's been a trend for 12 years.
Yoshi's Story. I never.
Yoshi's Story. Can you remind me? Like, is this the one with this infinite Shy Guys everywhere?
I think so.
This is on Nintendo 64, right?
Yes.
The 64 one where the Shy Guys are all there. That's like the main bad guys. It's a shit ton of Shy Guys.
I don't even fucking remember. Do you know what is coming to my head right now, though? I don't think I played this game. I think it was in a Nintendo Power, and it was in an issue that I had in Lebanon. So I probably read the fucking thing cover to cover like 18 times. That's my only exposure to Yoshi's Story. But they seem to like it, so
a lot of where I thought you were saving all the different color Yoshis.
I think so.
Unless I've created a game
could
in my
be,
head.
dude. That is a definite possibility.
I swear there was one, and I had to kill all the Shy Guys.
Though.
Yeah, well, if you feel like Nintendo Power as a young kid reading in Lebanon is not basis for a rating, then
I don't think so.
I would probably agree.
It's just not substantial enough.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
If it was EBM, maybe. EGM.
I'm offended that Duck Hunt is not on this.
They were the best. EGM, can we break it down for a second? They were the best gaming magazine.
Yeah.
They were the best, and Game Informer was second to them, but they died. EGM died. So did Nintendo Power.
So did everything else. Sports Illustrated died, so
yeah,
nothing is sacred.
Yeah.
I don't see anything else. I kind of wonder because there's the Super Mario Brothers over here. I know that the audio listeners can't see. Then there's this one. This one to me feels like the cover that also had Duck Hunt on it. Remember how there was a cartridge with both?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's use that to rank Duck Hunt as our last game.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, also there was the one that had the track and field one with the mat, which was kind of crazy for 1985 to imagine that 3 games are on one cartridge.
Yeah, and there's some versions of that are super rare and worth a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Duck Hunt, for what it was so much fun because
so
you got so frustrated when you missed, like when the TV didn't register it, and you're like, I know I did.
Yeah,
so fun.
I just need to say, I felt like having the Duck Hunt gun meant you were rich. The people I knew that had the gun controller for this fucking game, I was like, oh, you have the special controller that only is useful for one fucking thing. You must be so rich that your family could afford to play.
You know what though? I think there's a chance that they bundled it.
I think they did.
So,
I don't think I knew that as a kid.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was frustrating.
I had to go buy the controller.
I didn't spend a lot of time. I remember the sound effects. I remember wanting to shoot the dog. I did not like that dog. I thought he was a little bitch.
Well, he laughed at you.
Yeah, well, that's why. Yeah,
he laughed at.
So now I have an authority complex. It's because of Duck Hunt, and this dog is supposed to be my friend is laughing at me. Is all it goes back to Nintendo and Duck Hunt.
I think the real true arcade type experience, like I get that, some of these are arcade games and whatnot and all that, but like the controller shooting at your TV type of thing to get that vibe like you would at an actual arcade was something that we did not have a whole lot of back then. It took them forever to really build on that, in my opinion. So I think just for what it kind of was, even if it is a really simplistic game, I would think it has to be like high B, right? Somewhere around there.
I mean, for the fact of everybody as a kid being like, how does it do that? I don't know. That counts for something. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you.
That's exactly. Thank you, Dave.
And it's not like gun peripherals have ever really taken off. I mean, there have been attempts to bring like Time Splitters or other franchises into the home market, and they just have not ever done anything.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with like mid to high B.
Yep.
That's
there.
exactly. That's
right.
Mid to high B for Buck Hunt.
Well, this is our list. Then it sounds like.
And I can't combine them. It would have been a nightmare to do, especially with all the Mario games that we ranked that weren't on this list. And there's also no group ranking for it because this is such an ambitious undertaking that people have not finished it enough to have a group ranking, which I only discovered as I was putting this episode together. So that's a bit of a bummer. I wanted to see, like, all right, how many of our S's overlapped with their S's?
We'll have to revisit it then when people have done it enough.
You know what I realized we messed up on? Smash Brothers. Never.
We never did Smash Brothers. Holy shit!
All right, well, we'll go quick then. Where did they go? They're up here towards the top.
Right on the left.
Smash Brothers 64, which is just called Smash Brothers, was good. A great intro into this world, but like kind of basic. Like you play through it, and it's kind of what it is. There's a couple of secret characters, but that was it. It didn't really get expanded until Melee, which was a huge expansion.
Melee was incredible.
Yeah, I think Smash Brothers is A for me. It was good.
I'd probably put it in the highest of B myself as far as original Smash Brothers, just because of the what it meant. But Melee did everything Smash Brothers did way better on GameCube.
Melee's an S.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Melee is an S.
I put it in the wrong spot.
You put it in A, so I was concerned for a second.
The mouse is having a hard time.
I was confused by that.
Melee is an S, and this is the other candidate for maybe the most. Melee, I think I played more than any other game, and I got the really like weird sort of esoteric fucking achievements, and like if you go through fast enough, you fight Giga Bowser and all this shit. I think I got almost every trophy in that game. I just played it so much. I played through all the characters, and I took all the characters through every mode. So like the bag mode, the platformer mode.
Break the targets.
Yeah, everything. Every character on everything. I maximized Melee, and I couldn't get enough of it still. And you know what? Bonus points for Marth and Roy. Like my introduction to Fire Emblem. Great music, great characters.
You know, it's funny, Chris, that you're putting Smash Bros. Brawl in C, which is the last thing that Chris just put in there.
Mm-hmm.
I bought Smash Brothers Brawl because I had a Wii. I was working at GameStop at the time, and I'm like, well, of course I have to get Smash Brothers. It's Smash Brothers. It's the follow-up to Melee. I don't remember a damn thing about this game.
I actually don't remember anything.
I don't remember the awful story mode, the Subspace Emissary.
No. Oh yeah, that was bad.
Nothing.
I would have put B. I would have put low B, but like still, it was. I think it's the worst in the whole series.
It is.
Yeah.
B for Brawl. Unfortunately, it's not a B. Because I'm putting it in high C, and I think that's generous.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's harsh.
Nothing stood out.
But like relative to the standard that this series has set. Now the difficult part about this is Super Smash Brothers for 3DS and Wii U. I don't even know if I care to rank them because everything they have is in Ultimate, and Ultimate kills both of them, and it's not close.
I would have put both of those. They were the same. I put them in low B. They were fun, and the 3DS was cool to like take it to work and
portability was neat. It was also hell on your thumbstick.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
But like we could put them in, or I don't really. It's whatever.
I would say
because
let's put it in B.
The question is, where does Ultimate go? And it's our last game.
Ultimate,
nothing else.
Ultimate for me is as far as game, probably mid A for me.
I would say high A, but not S.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as 8 though, where it's like, well, if you like Melee, you should like this more because it's all the stuff in Melee. It's everything. They threw the whole kitchen sink, and it should have credit for having a actually really fun adventure mode.
It was long. The adventure was
there was a lot to it.
Long, and it is one of those like, okay, you do feel accomplished as you go through it because you build your cast back as you go through that adventure mode where you're like, okay, I start with just Kirby.
Yeah.
All right, now I gotta go get Mario. Now I gotta get Donkey Kong, and you build it back up, and all of a sudden, as you go through it, you're like, all right, now I've got now I got my cast back. I didn't like the badges that much. The special stages of the effects that happen in the adventure mode got a little gimmicky to me, I think, as I went.
I just think like the problem was I love the support they did. They had characters from Xenoblade 2 in it. They had obviously Sora. And I never really played them because you unlock them just for basically competitive. For the most part, it's competitive. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't in the scene, so I was like, cool. I played Sora maybe once. And if Sora was in Melee or something, that would have been like a game changer. Yeah. At the point in Ultimate, I was like, it's good for the people who care about it. I just didn't. So that's why to me it's high A.
It's funny for me. The only reason I have Sora and Joker on Ultimate is because my kids literally gave me their allowance money to buy it because they wanted it, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll benefit from that.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about it was you could just get the ones you wanted. So I picked up like Ken and Terry Bogard because I'm a fighting game guy, and I was like, oh wow, they're in Smash. That's going to be fun. They're a good fit. But then I didn't get, I mean, Bayonetta is a bad example, but I've never played the Bayo games, so like, I don't care about that character so much. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before, and I won't waste much time on it now that we're at the end, but like. The character reveal trailers are unmatched.
Yeah.
There are several that you can make a case for as like some of the best game trailers of all time. You can argue that the Game Awards are only as big as they are now because of the Joker trailer for Smash. And the Sephiroth trailer for Smash. Both of those were massive deals when they happened live at an event because everybody talked about them. So like what it's managed to do, the cast... You couldn't. I mean, the cast of the original, which we put in like mid to low A, is unfathomable. The 12 of those characters, and look at what this game has done.
Yep.
Like, goddamn.
So, Chris, you put it in A. What was your personal ranking for Ultimate?
I think you can make a case for low S, but I think high A is fine.
Okay. So, Dave, I don't know if I told you the story. As a young boy, and this is the truth, in case you don't believe me. As a young boy in Lebanon, I told you I had a company. I was creating games. I created a game that was a fighting game, and I never played fighting games because I didn't know a lot about them. I was like, that seems cool, and it was all Nintendo characters in a fighting game. And I had Mario, and like a lot of the cast was like similar to what Smash Brothers ended up being. I was like, Nintendo has all these cool characters. What if they just like fought each other? Obviously, it did not. My fighting game was like a Street Fighter. It was not like where you hit people off the stage. That was very creative. But yeah, I just want you to know I thought of Smash Brothers first.
You've told that story on the air before.
I have?
You have.
Great. Well, now you know. Now Cody knows.
I mean, he came up with shitty Smash Brothers is what he came up with.
Well, yeah, I mean, sure, but it was still my idea.
I gotta say though, the fact that you've now told it twice, and with your shit memory, I believe you that it's true. Like you wouldn't lie about it twice.
That's true. That is true. Yeah.
There's not that level of consistency. You're right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. The original Smash Brothers commercial is another one of those things that's going to stick with me for like.
Oh yeah, like the real life.
Happy together,
Yeah.
and then they're just
the turtles.
The first time I saw that as a kid, I was like, "What?" Because it's weird in the first place. These giant, costumed characters doing this, and then you see just a couple quick gameplay clips, and you're like, "What?"
Yeah.
When Mario punches Yoshi, it's just like, why did he do that?
Yeah,
dude.
You have to remember, like late '90s, Nintendo was very, very kid friendly. So the idea of them even attacking each other, you're like, absolutely not. Like Nintendo on Nintendo violence, there's no way they would ever do that. They won't even consider like a Mortal Kombat. The hell with this.
Yeah. And Smash Brothers should get some credit for at the time. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think there's another fighter like it where you win by upping the percentage of your opponent until they get easier to knock around, and then you knock them off the stage. Mm-hmm. That's brand new. And then since then, other games have copied it, of course.
Sure have.
But like that was new.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch a lot of the competitors, and you can think of several from the last few years in particular, where it's like you just don't have the roster to compete with this. It's clearly you're trying to make a Smash clone.
Yes.
And while it's fun to see like SpongeBob fighting Superman, I just don't care as much as I do with these other IPs.
That's probably the second best one, right? Multiverses.
Probably.
But it's still a pale imitation.
Yeah. All right, here's our list. If you see anything glaring, now's the time. Last chance.
No,
I'm pretty happy with
where
things.
Need to cover the S's for the audio listeners.
Oh yeah, that's good. We didn't do that last episode, which is a shame. But the S's that we have here, 8 this time: Super Metroid, Melee, Metroid Prime, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong Racing, Star Fox 64, Kirby's Adventure, Kirby Superstar.
You know what's kind of sad? Well, maybe not. I don't know. Take from this what you will, but so we've done 4 of these tier lists as part of the Big Nintendo one. We have maybe 20 games total in S, right?
25-ish, I think.
And
maybe close to 30.
And that's representing 30 years of gaming, like
almost 40 now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not that many. It just shows you it's cool. Like I think we've done a great job of saying that these are the best of the best, but it shows you games like these don't come around very often.
Yeah, we had 7, 5, 7, and 8, I believe. So I think that's 27 total in S.
Yeah.
It's around there.
And yeah, so I mean, essentially a game a year, not even. Like if you look at, if you consider, let's just go to 1985 for the release of the original Mario. I mean, we're 38 years and we have 27 games in S, so not even a game a year.
And I think you could argue there's a few more we could have put in, but we generally try and hold that to a high standard. So if we didn't put both Galaxies in S, and if someone did, I wouldn't be like, that's out of line. I'd be oh yeah, sure, maybe. But we didn't. Donkey Kong Country 1, I think, is a strong case for S, but we didn't, and that's okay. I'm pretty much content with where we ended up on it.
I have no beef, and I'm the beef guy, and I don't think there's one.
Beef.
Probably the most potential was 3 Houses not in S, and we put it in S automatically. So I was like, okay, I'm a happy man then.
I decided last minute I'm putting Star Fox Adventures below Metroid Other M in the very bottom.
Okay. Because I think Metroid Other M, you could argue, some people thought certain things were good.
The gameplay's kind of fun. Yeah. It's just the story and what they did with the franchise is trash.
Whereas Star Fox Adventures, I don't think any part of it
pretty
is
much
good.
unredeemable.
Yeah.
I think I didn't see that you actually put Yoshi's Crafted World in C. It definitely deserves to be higher than C. It's way better than Kirby's Epic Yarn. It's actually decent. It's easy, but it's decent.
Is that the one that you're supposed to let me borrow, but you never did?
Yes.
And I'm still waiting for.
Yes, I got interrupted by my own child, but it'd be low B for me. But
now it's above Kirby's Epic Yarn.
I'll play it whenever Dave deigns to let me borrow it.
Dave, just let him borrow it as soon as he watches the Orville.
Yes, there you go. That is my secret.
That's not fair.
Resolve multiple long-standing gripes in one fell swoop. That is the end of the episode. We're off next week for the holidays since we did this episode in advance to record it, so we'll have a couple weeks to sort of recoup and restore ourselves and then come back for the best of 2023. That'll be on, I think, the the 9th and 16th, if I remember the Tuesdays correctly.
Yes.
So off next week, and then back with TV movies the week after that, and then games the week after that, because boy, is there a lot to talk about.
Man, Dave, I'm going to have a top 10 in TV, top 10 in movies, at least, maybe top 15. Top 15 in games. It's going to be wild.
You're not allowed to have a top 15.
Well, I can have a top 15.
You can have honorable mention. We're not going 15 deep.
I'm going 15, but I told you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to say
off.
15 here, 14 here, 13, and then just so that's what it's going to be.
You don't just get to break the structure because you have passionate feelings. 10 at most.
Well, but I played all these games. They deserve mention.
Oh, well, okay. If that's the case, I'll have to go back retroactively and do all my other lists differently.
Exactly. Yo, I mean, you're the host, so you can.
But I won't. We only have so much time. You can't talk about 15 games and 15 movies.
That's. I mean, we do have only so much time, but I'll do it. It's the same as honorable mention. It's all it is honorable mention.
Right.
10 to 15 is honorable mention.
And then call them honorable mention.
It's just in a structure of 11 through 15.
I'm not giving you this
Because all he's doing is ranking his honorable mentions.
That's
clearly.
right.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. And if you want to say this is game number 15, I wouldn't. But if you wanted to, you could. It's this game.
I like how by couching it in those terms, it's going to take even longer than if I had just acquiesced. So I've seen the future. I know where we're headed. That's the end of this episode. Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy New Year. We'll be back January 9th, I believe, is the Tuesday. And then live shows resume as usual then. In between episodes, you can find us at our website, objectionnetwork.com or youtube.com/objectionnetwork. We'll see you in 2024.